This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene. Mean Gene. The following will be a test of the ship's whistle.
Beach. This is Beach Talk Radio.
Good morning, Mr. and Mrs. America, and all ships at sea. This is your captain speaking, Mean Gene.
This is Beach Talk Radio.
What's all the sonar alarm, the cable alarm, and the atomic attack alarm.
Hello, America, and welcome to the #1 radio station in all of Fort Myers Beach.
You're gonna need a refill.
Beach Talk.
He was all like, I'm not drinking beer. And he's fake.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you all for coming to Wahoo Willie's for breakfast and brunch with the mayor, or breakfast with the mayor, or beer with the mayor. Whatever you want to do, you can do right here at Wahoo Willie's every Sunday at 10 o'clock. And we got it together now. We got all of the technical issues taken care of, thanks to
And
my...
we're sitting up so high. Why is that, dear? Why are we sitting so high in the sky?
You see, I have these black stools that I bought from Walmart.
I gave them to you for Christmas.
And they're like $9, and I don't need them at Margaritaville because they have nice cushy chairs. Whoop, I'm gonna make sure that I appreciate when these guys say it's muffled. I'm gonna fix that on the Facebook. I got you.
I'll say again.
I got you.
You
The
have
reason,
an hour to get
Yeah.
here and
Thank
set
you,
up.
guys. Thank you,
still
Jim.
Don't get it right.
I think the sound is okay now. So let's turn off the music. The reason that we're sitting up high like this is because I forgot the stools. I don't need.
I do like having a back,
Thank you.
though. I hope that'll help my neck.
We don't need the little black stools at Margaritaville because they have nice cushy chairs for us
I
at
like
Margaritaville.
these too, though. These are good.
We
These are
asked
good.
Peter and Nick to get us nice cushy
Oh,
chairs,
my
and they were like,
Lord.
"Why don't you just bring them over from Margaritaville and use those chairs?" In other words, F off, Ed. We're not getting you nice cushy chairs. So I just want to thank the 200 women that showed up today to watch the show. I appreciate the 200 women that came to my door and said, "You have to do the show today, Ed. I don't know what we would do without you." And that's a very inside joke that you did not want me to say because I was going to say it yesterday and I
You're
forgot.
so petty.
I am petty. And
You're petty and small.
our
and
candidate came
vindictive.
out on top during the county race, but we're not here to talk about
I can't even vote.
politics. We unfortunately we start the day off with a sad report of
Wow.
2 people passing away on Palermo Circle, a gas leak at Palermo Circle, and I did do a video at the house this morning, but Mr. DeWitt's son asked me to take it down, so I took it down. There are 2 people that passed away from a gas leak, and there's going to be an investigation, so we'll stay on top of that. But our condolences to the DeWitt family and anyone else related to the situation on Palermo Circle. So the other thing that I wanted to mention was totally forgot what it was. What was the other thing that we were going to mention before inviting Dan on? Yeah.
I don't know. It's hard to segue from
Yeah,
that
yeah.
into anything.
Okay, well,
Anything's dumb that we've
Oh,
done.
I know what it was. We do have the mugshot of the lady that decided that Bayside Park was going to be a parking lot on Friday. That's not funny, other than she didn't hurt anybody. Can you imagine if that was like the Sunday night concert when she
No.
decided that she was going to turn right over here at the corner, and she took out the bench, and the folks that I think Dan, come on, Dan, the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, everybody, Mr. Dan Allers, who's going to win his election. Oh, look, you got a bigger round of applause than we did.
You seem shocked by that revelation.
You're getting good at this now. Yeah.
You're getting good at this.
So, Dan, when did you allow parking in Bayside Park? Like, we're at Snug Harbor, by the way. Is that free parking, or do you get towed automatically when that happens?
Well, let me kind of set the stage a little bit. So, my lovely bride was out with some girlfriends, and I get a call. I'm off island, and I get a call from her, and she's like, "Honey, a car just drove through Bayside Park." Of course, I think it came down Old San Carlos. It drove through. I'm like,
Did it go
usually I
into
give
the
her a hard
bay?
time because usually, it's like that comedian. He's like, Bob just called and said Mike's in the hospital. Well, what happened? I don't know. I just got a call. Mike's in the hospital, right?
Meanwhile, Mike's dead.
I felt like I was on the other side of it, right? So I'm like, well, she's like, I already called the LCSO. They're already on their way. I'm like, well, did they drive through? There was really no information.
Yeah.
So I'm racing back to the island thinking someone barreled down Old San Carlos
Jeez.
through the thing. And then on my way back, I saw the video and I thought, okay, well, so that's how I got the news that it happened. But evidently she was sitting here and saw the whole thing.
Oh, you were
happen,
here,
so-
Megan? So the thing is, like, the lady makes a right-hand turn instead of a left-hand turn and turns right in front of Nervous Nelly's. If you
how
see
fast
the
that
video,
kid moved?
the
That
kid was like total
I'm out.
situational awareness from somebody that young.
Yeah.
What? Oh, you're looking at me like, shut up.
I gotta sneeze.
I get that look all the time, like 6-7 times a day. And so the kid gets up, and so the lady takes out the bench.
Yeah.
She takes out the
Two
first
of them.
bench.
Two
Oh,
of
two
them.
benches.
Yeah.
One now, some of the town benches are like dedicated families that purchase the bench.
Yeah, the green ones. Yeah.
I got a text from apparently one of the families that owns one of the benches
Yes.
that was wondering, hey, that's my parents' bench. What do we do? Like, I mean, but you took care of it.
Yeah, we've got it. The town's got it. It looks like it got maybe bent up a little bit.
It looks like it got hit by a car.
Yeah, I mean, it's not as bad as the other one. The other one got knocked. I mean, that one was banged up pretty good,
Well,
but
how did they not hit those?
But it'll get fixed
bike
and get put
stands
back
and all of
No
that
kidding.
stuff.
She
I-
was
well,
precision driving for being
I mean,
hammered.
that's what I don't understand.
I
It was
think-
pretty.
and I have
like-
to give credit where credit is due. I think the comment that won the internet was Jim Hockett. When did Snug Harbor get approved for a drive-through?
Oh, and you can laugh now because
That was-
nobody got injured.
yeah.
But can you imagine? She really, that could have been like national news
I know,
if
but
she,
it seemed very slow. Now I don't know how fast she was
because
going.
you know,
but,
getting run over by a car is okay
no,
when
but
it's
I mean, if you
slow.
have time to jump, I'm going to jump. I might
Yeah.
accidentally push you, but I'm going to jump
in
clear of
toward
the way.
toward the direction of the car.
Well,
So,
yeah.
so I mean, you never know if somebody.
Insurance money. I mean, come on.
You never know if somebody is either drunk or has a medical emergency. But she was arrested for DUI, so
Yeah,
she was clearly.
and yeah, it was a bad situation that could have been much
Yeah.
worse. And
Oh.
thank God nobody was hurt. And it's
Yeah, and the thing is, the Snug
Welcome to
Harbor
Fort Myers
tiki
Beach.
that they have here is perfect for a perp walk. I mean, that was just it's the perfect length of the whole thing,
it
and
was
they got.
a nice backdrop.
And so she was. The thing is that Erin brought it up today. She's like,
Sheriff
The-
Carmine could probably use that as a nice logo on it. I mean,
Yeah.
that wasn't. I mean, it was a
it's perfect spot. Now she's from Lehigh, so
Speaking of Snug Harbor, not to change have you seen their latest commercials? That they're
oh my
doing?
God,
Oh,
it's
they are
hilarious.
They're
fantastic.
'Cause they-
crushing it out.
I was
Hilarious.
literally laughing out loud when that girl jumped into
Yes,
the water.
Yes.
yes. As soon
That's
as I
great.
saw it, I sent a message to Peter. I'm like, "You guys struck
Yeah.
gold
Have
with
you
this."
seen the newest one?
Yeah,
No.
With the
where
coconut.
Yes,
They
I
hit the
showed it to
coconut
you last
and the-
night.
yeah.
Yeah,
Peter
it's-
rambles on a little bit much in that commercial there, but
I
no,
didn't
that-
listen to it, but I watched it.
no, that they did it. Whoever their social media
That's great.
team is,
That's great.
we want part of that. So no, that was amazing.
Just to have an employee that's just like, I'm going in. Just
I
jump in the
Right,
know,
water.
right.
I know.
So
And
I
then
mean, it's-
brings out what was it? A fake fish? I mean, she was
No, I
rolling
think
around.
I
No,
think
it was
I
a
don't-
real fish.
Again, I didn't listen to it.
Oh,
I
it's
just
funny.
watched it. But
Yeah.
real fish.
I don't know if she was.
Everybody needs to hire
if she
them.
was lulling it to sleep or what she was doing there. But
If you haven't seen the commercial that it's not really a commercial, it's a social media
Yeah.
post.
Yeah.
You should go on the Snug Harbor Facebook page and look
Yeah,
for
it's
that.
like a TikTok,
Yeah.
I think.
Is
Yeah,
it on
it's-
TikTok? Yeah.
But don't
Yeah.
play the sound. Watch it without
Yeah.
the sound.
Yeah.
I like watching them without the
Yeah.
sound. I still
Funny.
haven't heard the sound from that one, but
Well, the theme is that it's super fresh.
it's super
seafood.
fresh. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
All right.
yeah.
Which it is.
All right.
So I just want to ask before you launch into it.
It's like magic.
You're talking about
It's like magic. You turn around and the
There you
beer is ready to roll.
yeah.
you're talking about now. I don't think that this is what happened, but that signage on the beach. Someone was saying that there needs to be more signs directing people to where to go to Times Square because they're turning to go, they're getting stuck going off the island.
Yeah.
And so is there something that you can do about that? Or is that a county thing or?
No, the roads back here are the towns. We can certainly put signs up. I noticed the stop sign is missing from the corner of Crescent and Fifth to turn off the island. So yes, that's the town. So I was actually talking to Commissioner Sandelli about it yesterday. He had the same issue. He didn't know where to turn. Most people think you turn left at that first and that's going to take you, or at Fifth, and that's going to take you,
So
Times
you can
Square,
go-
but then
mhm.
it makes you go off the island. So, and most people don't know that then the next street is a one-way, third is a one-way, and then you
Yeah.
got to come down. So yeah, we can do a little better job of putting up we didn't,
Thanks to those
now that
guys
we
over
know.
there.
Yeah.
now that we know what you guys didn't bring any signs?
So if we can,
Signs for what?
Didn't have- well played. Well played.
so if
In
we
case
can,
anybody didn't hear that, she said I look nice today. That's
yeah, you look nice every day.
Wow, you
Thank
are
you.
firing
Something's
on
up with
all
that. That was very
cylinders
skunky.
today.
That was a skunky beer. I haven't had one.
Wow.
It was totally skunky.
bottom of the barrel.
Yeah. They
You
try to
should
get rid of the
slow
skunky
down.
beers when I show up.
Yeah.
So Dan, let's rewind the week a little bit. I was watching news, or I saw a Facebook or an online story about the town was going to start towing cars
Oh boy.
after 15 minutes after the meter expired. And I thought, oh, I must have missed a meeting. Like I swear I must have missed a meeting because Andy and Frankie have been trying, and you have been trying to, get past all this Nazi traffic parking stuff and be a kinder, gentler community. And I thought you were succeeding at that until I saw that story where you're all of a sudden, after people are running back to their cars,
Yeah.
you're gonna block them and write them tickets and tow their cars. It was the most bizarre story I had ever seen.
Well, it certainly caught me off guard, and I'm sure my fellow counselors, because I know Counselor King, reached out to Wink directly and was able to get them to retract the story. And obviously, I was doing things a little different tact than that, but I was I was glad to see they retracted the story. But I was upset because they didn't ask for any
Zero
source. They didn't-
sourcing.
Yeah.
Normally we'll get, someone will reach out to Nicole, or they'll reach directly out to me, or reach directly out to Andy and say, does someone want to talk about this? And we'll usually oblige and talk about it. But
We'll set
nobody
the
knew.
record straight.
I was-
Nobody's getting
no
towed.
one's getting.
It had nothing to do
it
with
had nothing
towing.
to do with meters. It was just to clear it up. If people don't know what it was, is when cars are immobilized and they're left in areas, whether it's in front of a fire hydrant or if it's in a handicap zone or whatever. Once it's left, the town turns it over to the Lee County Sheriff's Office, who then calls a town-approved towing company to tow it. But it had nothing to do with. So what we have found is when people's cars get towed away or they get booted and they pay their fine, they then were challenging their credit card charges. So it was actually the town was losing money because they would challenge their credit card. So what the ordinance was being changed, if you look at it, the underlying portion of what was in the ordinance that was pulled at the meeting was simply to change it from the type of payment. So
it's got to be cash.
it's got to
now?
be cash or
Yeah.
it hasn't been voted on, but that was what that's what the
That makes
proposed
sense.
changes were, so that people that leave their cars behind or whatever, but it had nothing to do with meters. Yes, it does in the ordinance talk about towing, but that ordinance was from 2006.
Right.
I mean, the town has never, as long as I've been involved, and the people that I've talked to that have been in the town way longer than me, The town has never been in the business of towing
Right.
cars because their meters.
You write a
expired.
ticket. That's what
the
happens.
point
You
of-
write a ticket.
You write the ticket, then you got the magistrate.
Yeah.
You can go and fight it. You could do
I
all
don't
the
think
things.
I've
but
even seen a tow truck down here.
we don't have.
Well,
that.
you can go to Mr. Tequila lot, and they got one on standby over there. No, so and that's
And
but that's private.
there were cars that were towed after Debbie. Obviously, you guys saw it.
Yes.
They were cars that were
Stuck
trying
in
to
the middle
drive
of the
through, and they were
road.
stuck in the middle of the road. You had to get them out of the way. But again, it had nothing to do with meters. It had to do with bad life choices.
Yeah. So the only thing, and I'll let this go after this, is that the thing that was most disappointing was the story started on Monday and ran into Tuesday, and it was all over the Wink website, and they put it on Facebook, and the people were giving the town of Fort Myers Beach all kinds of shit because we want people to come to the beach, and people are saying screw those people on the beach, now they're going to tow my car and blah blah blah. And then they gave it one correction at 4:03 on, I think it was Thursday, and they didn't post anything online. They didn't post an apology online. They didn't give it the same amount of airtime that they should have when they aired the first erroneous, totally false story. That's the thing that's most disappointing. And well, I just made sure that we took care of it and posted the crap out of it.
Everybody makes mistakes, and you move on from it. But my biggest point, and I talked with NBC about it, was people have worked so hard to rebuild their lives and rebuild their businesses and to get back in their homes. And, we need people to come down and visit us. We need our residents to come back. We need Lee County residents to come down and visit us. And to see
especially this time of year,
negative comments from that story, you just couldn't reply to them all fast enough. And
right.
Unfortunately, the social media, sometimes it's really good. Sometimes it's really bad. And people believe anything they read sometimes, and you can't. And by then the damage is done.
Right.
Yes.
You can't. I mean, whether they did a better retraction than what you said, once it goes out at first,
but
nobody's going back.
Even if they never posted the correction online, they never posted it online. Why not just put one? We made a mistake on Facebook. They're not going to tow your cars. What's wrong with that?
Everybody makes a retraction.
When I make a mistake, dear, I will certainly make a retraction. There's no doubt about it when that happens.
Okay.
Yeah,
what mistake are you referring to?
Never mind.
Go ahead. Go right ahead. Put it right out there. I have nothing to hide. What mistake are we talking about?
Nope.
You mean the latest one?
Yeah, I want to know what she's talking about.
I think I saw a post of her putting some furniture together with your feet up on it.
That wasn't a mistake. She was actually putting furniture together.
I don't know.
That was so brutal. I don't know what it said. All you're going to need
how you're still
is
breathing.
a Phillips screwdriver. I'm like, okay. I tried with a regular screwdriver, not a Phillips, but I had to get the drill and the drill bit out. That stupid leg would not go into the bottom of that stupid couch.
Guys, you have to be on my side, guys, about this. When your wife
it's a boy job.
When your wife is involved in a project and she's doing the work, the last thing you want to do is say, why don't you just let me take care of that? That is so demeaning. So I went outside and I made a drink and I took a picture of you, and I was like, if she needs help, she'll ask for help. There's no reason for me to take over the work.
No, I like doing that stuff. But the thing was, you said you ordered the couch. Now you didn't pay to have them bring it in or put it together. And by the way, when we carried the furniture in 3 times,
I had to put it down.
To stop so he could stretch out his baby arm. I'm like, are you kidding me?
It's true story.
That explains the truck.
Are you kidding me? Lift it, dude.
Fuck you too, Dan. What? How dare you pile on me like that?
It's a baby couch and a baby truck and a baby arm.
So before the storm, Megan had ordered, I don't know if it was IKEA or what it was. And Megan is like you. She's a doer. She will just get in there and do it. Well, she had chosen to ask me to do it, and I'm more of a builder, I can assemble things.
Me too.
Guys are like, guys are.
How dare you all laugh at that? How dare you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, ma'am. No heckling the guests from the crowd.
So you lay this whole end table thingy
She's
out,
calling you a liar.
and you got all the screws. Make sure you got everything there. And as I'm assembling it, I'm like, well, these little dinky screws. Who the hell would use these? So I go grab some screws out of the garage, totally not paying attention. I run the screw in, and it's about 3 inches sticking out the top of the top of the coffee table.
But it's not moving.
But it's not moving. And, we're making this thing good. So I backed the screw out. So now she's mad because there's a hole in the top of the table,
Sure.
which forever had a coaster on it until Ian took it away. But that's I can relate.
Well, I will say that
She wasn't happy.
No, I used the drill to put the screw in, and something happened. So I had to back it out, and it wouldn't come out. So finally I just, what we all do, it's like, well, that's it. I'm just going to yank it out. It had gone so far in, it pulled out some of the cushioning on the other side. So the whole screw
Wrapped around it.
was just wrapped. It took me an hour with a knife and a razor blade to get that off. But there's 4 legs on. I still have 4 more to go. So
Just one time when you order something, I would like for all the screws and nuts and the bolts to not be any be left. Like every time you order something, there's like 15 or 16.
We call those Wii parts.
It's like,
you put them in your hand and
at one point in the future, this thing's obviously going to fall down because these screws needed to be somewhere.
well,
All right.
those legs are on tight now.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
Thank you. So Dan, listen, we went after the LPA meeting, which we're going to talk about. We got a pool cage story we need to talk about.
Okay.
But after the LPA meeting, we all go down to the church. The church.
You already said it yesterday.
The St. Raphael's Church. No, Dan was there. I got to get his take on this. They did a nice ceremony. They put a plaque up out in the courtyard for folks that lost their lives in the storm.
Mhm.
And Dan, so during the church service, there was some singing
Here we
going
go.
on.
there was.
And so the
I bet
pastor,
he knows.
the pastor said, open up the pamphlet. You can follow along. And I followed along the first line, and then I was freaking lost, man. Like I could not
You
figure
didn't know
out
to
like
go down to the bottom.
the second
See?
line,
He
dude.
knew.
Were you singing or were you lip syncing?
No, I was
mean,
singing.
Come on, man.
my
I'm going back to the
grandmother-
videotape.
My grandmother, whenever we would stay at her house, we went to a Lutheran church, which is just down the street from where her house is, and you either learned how to do it or you got whacked in the back of the head, So I didn't know. I'd be lying if I said I knew all the words to the hymn that they were
No,
singing.
but you knew to go to the
I knew
refrain.
to go to the bottom and
Yes.
then go back.
Why
to
do
the
they do
top.
that though? Like for people that don't understand that, why not just put it all in one line so I can follow along? I didn't get it till the 6th line, which was the last line of the song.
And we're so
And
shocked
then I was
about that.
pelting out the song
Well,
like I was singing like,
if
Jesse
Elvis-
Jackson.
If you were, what I always found interesting is, as we were walking out, so we went from the church and we walked out to the memorial garden where they did a nice ceremony
Yes,
for the plaque. And
Very
then
nice.
as we were walking out, they were singing Amazing Grace. And what I found interesting, so when you were telling the story, what I found interesting is we all know Amazing Grace to a point.
Right.
Yeah.
So everybody's not looking at the sheet; they're singing, and then all of a sudden, you could tell in the part of the song, everybody was like, tried to find it, and there was like a half a second like lull and like, oh, I don't remember the rest of the words. So I did get caught up on that, and then I had to go to the sheet.
Can you sing the whole song right now? Do
I
you
could
know all the
not.
words?
No.
I
do
I
not.
know Amazing Grace, and then that's it. That's the end of it.
Yeah.
That's the only I know 2 words of that song, and
Yeah.
that's it.
Well,
But no.
it was it was
Well,
it was
you should
it
get
was
right.
a beautiful event, and there was a lot of nice people
Yes.
there, and
If you have a chance to go to Williams Drive and go to the church and take not only go to church if you're not a
Yeah.
churchgoer, that was the first church service I've been at since the last Ali Frazier fight.
No,
It was
you
totally
went to one at St. Peter's.
well, we were
uh,
thankful they
went
had
to
just
one at
gotten
St.
their air
Peter's.
conditioning
Yes.
turned on that
Yeah.
day, so it was.
You
it
should
was-
be thankful it didn't fall down when he walked in there.
Yeah,
Those
Yeah.
people are so nice.
they were
all
great.
those folks that on
Bishop was
Williams.
there. I mean, it was a nice
Yep.
service, and it was a nice dedication, and
Yeah.
we're thankful. If you, like you said, go through the memorial gardens, you can walk through there, see a very nice plaques in the middle.
I'm watching the Met game here. It's like they're pounding San Diego, but
Did
football
you,
season
Did you
starts
see
soon.
the walk-off home run for Owatani?
I did not see
Yeah.
that. Who were the Dodgers playing at the time?
I don't remember. But
It was a grand slam walk-off, wasn't
yeah,
it?
he was the youngest to join the 40-40 club.
So Dan, let me ask you this.
What are we gonna do
About
during
what?
that time?
Football
You're
season?
you're gonna ask about the FWC
Yes,
thing?
right now.
Yeah.
So at Margaritaville, if you
Here we
didn't
go.
notice the post, I know you don't have the answer, but I would
Yeah.
like to hear your input. If you go to License to Chill, they have, they have a bar with TVs on it, and the TVs that are facing the beach, there are 4 kind of facing, 2 facing the beach and 2 facing Times Square. They have bags over them now, and they're not going to be allowed to take the bags off until November 1st because of FWC saying you can't have these TVs, which I totally get during the night, during turtle season, but they're not allowed to use them during the day, which really just is FWC saying, F you, we have the power. We'll make you shut them all off if we want to. I mean, why would they not be allowed to use TVs during the day, Dan?
I can't speak for the FWC. To me, I certainly hope they reevaluate that opinion. It's the middle of the day. I think everybody understands what your job and what your duties are when it starts getting close to dusk. But to not be allowed to use outdoor TVs where does it end? Do you go to every house on the island?
Yes.
That's on the beach and tell them that
exactly
they have to
my
cover?
point. I mean, if it's because they're worried about human error, what are you going to do? Like close
happens
off
all the
the
time.
electricity to
Yeah,
every
I don't know the whole story of
building
who
on
made
a
the
stero?
decision to tell them that,
I
but to
mean,
me it doesn't make any sense.
human error. I get it, but
No, what they said was, yeah. So I think one of the suggestions was that we can put it on a timer and turn it off whatever
Yeah.
time you say to turn it off. And they're like, no, there's too much room for error.
Technology. What? There's enough. There's amazing things you can do with technology.
And
that's the easiest.
I don't know if this is true or not, but I was sitting up there waiting for the show to start. So I go up there and chat with the folks. And they're obviously the people working behind the bar are not happy because that's 4 TVs shut down when college football season's going on. They bought
Sure.
the NFL package. You're expecting to have a big crowd there. And one of them said that the FWC, the lady from FWC said, he's like, well, why would you do this? And she goes, because I'm the most powerful person in this state. I mean, I
don't know if that's true.
I mean,
you're putting stuff out there.
I think let's give them the benefit of the doubt at this point. Hopefully they have seen the stories and they've heard from some of us who have reached out to reevaluate that decision, because when these
It's a
people,
bad
again, I go back to
precedence to
these
start.
people are working very hard that are coming to work every day to provide for their families, and to make a decision to take money out of their pockets they're just trying to do their job, serve people, and people won't come because, to your point, they can't watch a game or they're going to go somewhere else. You're taking money away from those people that are there to do a job. And if it makes sense, it makes sense. But this to me doesn't make any sense.
If it's the human error thing too, you can't predict human error, because if we could, Marcino would be. I mean, you can't predict when someone's going to do something right or wrong.
There's a process in place for those that forget, or you get a violation, right? So people understand the process, people understand the rules. To not have TVs on in the middle of the day because for what? What's the reasoning?
Especially, they just ordered the football pack. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So
again, it's people that are, the bartenders and servers who are there relying on tips to do their job, and people are getting up and leaving to go across the street or go somewhere else to watch the college game or the football game or whatever it is. Or, they're people that are staying there. They're thinking they're going to come and be able to watch the game, then they can't. So, I know for a fact there's other businesses on the beach that have TVs on during the day. So it doesn't make sense why some could do it and some can't. What's next?
He didn't leave me any information, so you tell me what's next. What else went on this week?
What didn't? It was a busy week, wasn't it? There was a lot of moving.
Are we going to
and
talk
shaking.
about your pool cage?
We had
Do you want to?
There was a nice service yesterday for
let
Al
me-
Durrett.
Oh, that's right.
A lot
yeah.
of people from the beach were there, and it was a nice service. And anybody that didn't know Al, I didn't know him as well as a lot of people, but he was one of the first people, if not the first person, that believed in me when I decided to run for council back in 2019, and hosted an event at the then just completed the Tiki Bar, and so he and Janine Pulaski, they were great from the beginning, and that always stuck to me with me. And he always said anything I needed to just reach out and let him know. And if you got to hear some of the stories that people were telling of the things that he did, he was a truly an island resident or island, just an island businessman. I mean, he was on the LPA. He was very involved in the community. So it's a loss, but it was a nice service.
Oh, well, now we're going to talk about the well, you're messing me up. You don't leave me any of your notes. Now I'm throwing them under the bus about their pool cage.
He was going to get
But
his
let me
toolkit
ask
to
this.
put together your furniture.
So if somebody, why does a pool cage Oh, I see.
Oh,
This is
here we go.
exactly what I knew was going to happen. I bring something up because you have a bladder
Dear,
the size of a peanut.
I can't understand that you can't cover the show for like 2 minutes.
You never give me the notes.
Why do I need to give you the notes?
Because
Do your own
I
show
work
prep.
a regular job.
Oh, you can't spend 1 hour prepping for the show?
Oh, I could. Oh, right.
I mean,
Mhm,
that's,
mhm.
come on, dear. Get
That-
with the
as soon
program.
as you hire,
Jeepers creepers.
as
Holy
soon as you
shit.
hire somebody to
I
put
know
the
when the
legs on the
microphone switches
couch,
hands,
Oh
he's getting.
my gosh.
clean the house, go to the grocery
Here's the
store.
deal. I keep telling her she can hire. I don't need to tell her anything, first of all. I don't want that to come out the wrong way. If you want to hire somebody to clean the house, do it. I'll pay for it.
Yeah, but they
But
don't
you're
want.
afraid to have somebody come in the house to clean the house because the house is so dirty. That's
No,
what you're.
the-
I mean, how does that make any
The
sense?
house is completely fine. It's just nobody wants to clean
Right.
around you.
It's like we can't have anybody to come over to the house because the house is too dirty, but we can't have anybody to come clean the house because the house is too dirty to clean.
It's
I
not
could-
dirty.
And
We
none of
don't
this makes-
have a dirty
This is
house.
why I don't have any parties anymore, because she freaks out for 48 hours before the party starts. Like, she's buying new furniture. We're painting the house. We're getting
Right.
the roof clean just to have a 1 hour football
Yes.
party. It's like, forget it. It's
No
not
one's
even
coming
worth it
over
anymore.
until we
I
have a
could-
new
I could see
bathroom
the
put in.
conversation.
And
now.
their head's
Excuse me, sir.
blowing
Could
off.
you take your feet off your counter so
Jeez.
that I can clean it?
Hey, so I wanted to ask you. These
Yeah.
poor people that just showed up thinking they were going to have a quiet breakfast at Wahoo Willie's. So let me ask you, this past week, Dan, like London Bay they were getting prepared to come to the LPA meeting yesterday, Friday, and then they get the staff report, and the staff report was somewhat brutal in denying, like, they wanted to recommend denial of basically everything they asked for, and so London Bay pulls indefinitely. They pulled it and asked for a continuance. But you met with Mark the day of the meeting, right at 4:00. So what? I mean, what
No,
was,
we had a phone
oh,
conversation.
so
Yeah,
what was that all about?
He obviously they had issues with this with the staff report, and it told me that they were going to probably pull it so that they can address those. And then I think you reported it shortly thereafter
Yeah.
that they were doing it. So that it was a brief conversation just to say that they didn't agree with a lot of what the staff report said, and that they just wanted to pull it to have some time to
Sarah
discuss it.
pulled no punches, man. She made it sound like everything they proposed was not in line with the comp plan or the LDC or whatever.
Yeah, well, I mean, he didn't get into specifics about what he didn't like about each item, but it was just overall he didn't agree with a lot of the staff comments. So
Yeah. Do
I
you
don't want
think?
to speak for them as to
Right.
why they.
I mean, it's all speculation. Our entire show is speculation for the most part. But do you think that London Bay is would bring it down a little? Do you think that eventually they're going to have to bring it down if they're going to get anything approved or not? Or you
Well,
think they're going to come with the 17?
I don't know what their plan is. What they,
Gut feeling.
My gut feeling, as I told Mark, is you really need to address the canal situation. You need to either say we're going to do something with the canal or we're not. We all know that it's within their right. It's not something that we can tell them they can't do, but it doesn't mean that it's necessarily the right thing to do. So I thought he took, my input and they'll do what they do. But I think it would certainly ease a lot of people's minds if they knew what was going to happen there, or at least some inclination. I can honestly tell you, I have no idea what their intentions are. He's never communicated with me what their intentions are as far as that canal or with Charlie's Boathouse property, but people want to know what's going on with it. And that may or may not, I always tell everybody, whether it's a resident, whether it's a developer, whether it's whomever is coming in, and they ask your questions like, well, what is the feel of the public, or what is this, or what is that? And I'm like, well, I can tell you what I'm hearing. And if you're walking into a room starting out with 0% of the people behind you, it's going to be very difficult to get to, just look at, we'll use Margaritaville, for example. When they came out with the Grand Resorts, everybody knows that it didn't go over very well, right? They went back to the drawing board. They came up with a plan.
And they got the people involved.
Well, when I was campaigning and walking in 2019, one of the biggest questions, or the question was asked, are you in favor or not in favor of it? It had already been voted on and approved and all that was done, but it was still on people's minds. And I would tell them, yeah, I wasn't in favor of the first one, but I was fully in favor and supportive of what we see now. And 90% of the people I agree. And I think that's what the point I'm trying to make is the more information you give with people, the more you work with the community, the more you work with the businesses and you work and find out and try to fine tune whatever that best project is. We all know things are going to look different, right? We all know, there might have to be some height. Everybody knows nothing new. Density is a big thing for me because organically we're getting more dense just because of the storm took everything away. So to pile on top of that is, to me, a very difficult thing to overcome. But if you these properties aren't being purchased with the intent they're going to sit empty, you're never going to get back what we had there. It's just never going to happen. Now, that doesn't mean they should get whatever they want either.
Right.
But
What's the happy
something's
medium?
going to happen there. So you really, truly, I know people get tired of hearing me say it, but you truly have to look at every project individually. Let me finish. Because every project and every part of what project might work on the south end that wouldn't work in a residential area, or wouldn't work in Times Square, or vice versa. So you have to look at the project that's presented. And I like to try to look at, I try to do enough homework to know what they could do there by right. If they didn't ask the town for anything, whether it's residential, commercial, what could they do without ever asking for anything?
And what is that height that they could do without ever asking for anything?
Well, on the Outrigger property, I don't know how many.
It's 3 or 4 stories. I mean, isn't that what the?
Well, but what I mean is, what could it look like? How many square footage and things like that? Then it plays into the FAR and how the calculations are done, which we're talking through the comp plan on that now. So I try to look at the big picture.
Okay, but it's not 17.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying about you look at.
I don't think anybody likes
anywhere,
the height.
right?
I mean,
Doesn't seem like it's going to work anywhere on the island.
But I've built enough things in my life to understand that you can't have everything both ways. Doesn't mean you should have it one way or the other, but you can't have it both ways. You can't. I want to protect the view corridor, but I don't want you to go over 3 stories. Some of these properties, it's just impossible.
Just for the difference for Seagate, because they have more property, but just for the Outrigger property, if the code says 3 or 4 over flood or whatever, I mean, it's not 17, but whatever the number of it is 3 or 4. I mean, why would anybody vote other than what you already said millions of times? The LPA,
what the code says is what the code says, but the code also allows a developer to come in and ask for anything above that.
I'm not arguing that.
It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that is it's all of this or nothing, because that's not going to work.
Is your feedback from residents more that, okay, you voted to stay to the LDC? We know they can ask for 1 million stories. Is your feedback from residents more of, Dan, you kind of said you're going to stick to the LDC and the comp plan twice. This is what the comp plan, and then you roll into this.
This is where I think people misunderstand. We voted to not allow more than what was currently in place before the storm. That's what we voted on. That's what we all unanimously agreed, to not allow more height by right, to not allow more density by right, and to not take away their process to be able to ask for more. That's what we voted on. We didn't vote to say, you can't go over 3 stories. We didn't vote on you can't ask for more density. We voted to say and I could tell you after that meeting, I got calls from some developers who were very, very angry because they interpreted what you're interpreting, that we said, you're going to have to stick to 3 stories. And I said, go back and watch it. Now that the smoke is cleared, go back and watch it again. What we said is, we're not going to give you more FAR by right. We're not going to give you more height by right. We're not going to give you more density by right.
But you can ask for it.
But you can ask for it. And we made it very clear. We don't want to take away the process.
But don't you also see how it can be confusing to people?
Sure.
When you just said that we agreed to not give them more by right than what they had before.
Exactly.
Then you will never, if you're all going to be true to your word, you would never give a developer more than what they had by right beforehand.
Oh my God.
Do you
Yes.
But do you see how confusing it can be?
No, honestly, I can't, because to me, it's very clear what we voted on. We voted on the process that was in place before the storm is the process we're going to stick with.
Okay. Well, that's different than what you said.
Because there's people that were expecting, quite honestly, that we were going to all of a sudden panic and we're going to just let people develop whatever they want and change things. And we wanted to make it very clear that was not the case.
No.
So literally all that came out of those unanimous meetings is the process that was in place, just like the
process.
The process is not changing. We're not giving away things by right. We weren't giving it
But
away.
I think what also kind of this is what I hear, is that people go back to that. There's that. And then there's the reason that people incorporated, or the reason that the town incorporated
Mhm.
was because of all of those big buildings,
Yep.
which would make people think they don't want big buildings
Sure.
on the island.
Sure.
So you've got what you said, and then you've got that in, and it is confusing to people to go, all right, well, yes, they can't get more by right, but they can ask for anything, but they're not going to give them everything
Doesn't mean
because
they're
we
gonna get it,
incorporate
right?
it.
Well, and I think that I understand what you're saying, and I can see how people are confused by that. But you also have to remember, as I've said before, we have a new partner involved that we didn't have before Ian. Now we have FEMA involved, and we have the Florida Building Code involved, which we had before. But if
I was gonna say, that was- yeah.
everything now is starting
Yes.
higher anyway, right? Doesn't mean that you should be able to go higher than what is currently allowed, but it doesn't mean you shouldn't be able to ask for it. Because if you're thinking that way, then you can't ask for 4 stories. Even though it might be a really good project. So if someone came in and said, I can only build 3 stories, but I want to go 4 stories, but I'm going to cut my density in half. Would you tell them no because the code says you can't go over 3 stories?
I don't know. I just wish for the
But
residents.
that's the way my brain works. That's the way I think is.
Well, I guess
You have to look at the project, and if it makes sense for the community and you're getting something back. To me, if you're giving back density and you're asking for a little bit of height, I'm just using the 3 to the 4 as a scenario.
Right.
To me, that's something that should at least be discussed.
Well,
Right.
3 to the 4, but 3 to the 17 is just a bridge too
That's-
far.
Is it safe to say they're not getting 17? I mean, there's no way anyone's voting for 17. Can you at
I
least
guess we'll
tell
find
them?
out.
Can you at least give the residents a feeling of they're not getting 17? You don't. I know you can't vote for everybody, but if it's your gut, we're talking gut feelings here, Dan.
I could say it's probably going to be an uphill battle.
Okay,
But
fair enough.
The thing that's But when I talk to, when I talk to people on some of these bigger developments, we'll just use the 2 big ones that we're talking about. People say height, right? But that's not their number one concern. At least most of the people that I talk to.
it's traffic.
It's traffic, and how is it going to be used, and how is it going to impact my life? How is it going to keep me from getting to where I need to go? Height is the height, right? I mean,
Mhm.
if it was 15, would people be okay with it? And I ask everybody the same question. So if it was 14 stories, you would be okay with it? Well, that'd be better. Well, when you're going 14 stories, I mean,
At what point
But-
does it really matter? I mean, is it
well,
4 or
it
5?
matters.
I mean,
It matters because
yeah.
our residents
Yeah.
have problems with it. And we've told them time and time and again, if you have a problem, let us know. For something or against something, let us know.
for sure. And they're getting involved on
They
the
are,
Outrigger
they are,
project, which
yeah.
is I mean, I love seeing the involvement with the Outrigger project, and it's a weird scenario because the canal issue could be the death of that project on the other side of the Estero, and they're not even related. But the people are pissed.
Well, I agree. And I think, going back to the code is the code, I think, and most developers don't want to do it. I know Matt from Seagate said at his meeting, he said that I asked him to put out what they could do there because I know what can go there. I know what they could do there by right without asking the town for anything. And I promise you, I've not seen it. He has not shown me. But like I use my wife all the time, we can walk into an empty room or we can walk into just a studded, and I can tell exactly what that's going to look like in my head without ever having to see a plan. She has to see the furniture in place and the pictures on the wall and really, right? Which that's how people's brains work. So visually, just using simple calculations and simple numbers on a 10-acre parcel, what could be built there could be extremely massive. May not be tall, but it could be extremely massive. And I would be willing to bet if most people saw what I see in my head, they would be like,
he's got a picture of it.
No.
And
I don't know if he does or he doesn't.
I
But
begged him to let me post a picture of how.
and I understand and I respect why they don't want to do that. They don't
They want to seem
come
like they're
across
bullying.
as-
Right.
So when you're looking at these individual proposals, that's things that you have to look at. You have to look at the land's not going to sit there empty forever. We're never going to get the red coconut back. We're never going to get the outrigger back.
And people
we're
didn't
not
buy
gonna,
this property to not make money off of it
And
either.
so
But
you've got to look at
the
certain
residents of
things.
Fort Myers
Don't
Beach
care.
don't
I
care about
understand
that.
that.
And they
don't
should.
I
care.
understand
They
that.
shouldn't.
I think you should be able to have your opinion, and your
Yeah.
opinion should be heard, and then you elect people to make a decision. Sometimes you're going to like their decisions. Sometimes you're not. And people are starting to really get vocal in these bigger projects, which they should.
Yep.
And
Yes.
it means a lot. I've heard people say they love it. I've heard people say they hate it.
Which is more of what?
Honestly, I've
50-50 or more swinging one way or
it
the
just
other?
depends. And what someone loves about it or what someone hates about it is different. Some people love the fact there's going to be a restaurant. Some people love the fact that, it's going to have more parking. Some people love the linear parks. People hate the height. People hate the density. So it's all a little bit of everything. And it's our job to take all that information in, listen to what comes out of the LPA. That's why I don't like to comment on things, because a lot of times proposals like this, once they get through the LPA process, it changes a little bit by the time it gets to the council. And then the first reading to the second reading, it changes again a little bit more. So,
Well, it hasn't changed at all yet.
I will say the people that we have that have purchased the properties on the island that are trying to come through with these proposals, at least in my opinion, have been very open to listening to residents and very open to modifying and changing things. But they're also saying, we're not going to build, use the outrigger. We're not going to be able to build back the outrigger.
Right. I think people are
in the way it looked before is what I'm saying.
I think people understand that. I think that one thing is
So where's the happy medium, right?
I think one thing
you
is
gotta figure out.
guaranteed, though. If you don't get involved and you don't voice your opinion, it will get approved. I mean, I think the people that make the votes will just assume everybody's okay with
Well,
it.
yeah, if no one's
They're not getting
complaining.
involved.
Right,
I mean, they
right.
might not agree with the project. The voters might, the people on the LPA and the town council might not love the project, but if nobody gets involved, I guess you would assume that nobody objects to it. You
Right.
should get involved one way or the other. The thing too, that I tried to organize a meeting. The one at Nervous Nellies was pretty much against the outrigger. I mean, you guys were there, right? You guys, would you say 100% of that audience was against the current proposal, not against London Bay, but they don't want that big building there. And whether they can use the canal as the excuse to say, don't give us the big building, they're going to use that. So the thing is, I try to organize a meeting for folks to get involved if they're in favor of it. Like we should also, because somebody told me there is a silent minority or majority on the south end that's in favor of that project. So let's have a meeting. Put your thoughts out in the public. If you're in favor of that building, then let's do it. I couldn't get it together.
Like I said, I've heard from both pro and against for every project, and we'll see where it shakes out. And London Bay is going back to address some things. We'll see if anything changes. Sounds like Seagate's moving forward with the plan that they rolled out. It's about the process. It's about I always talk about infrastructure. Nobody likes to talk about it, but
that's a big deal.
It's as I said I had a little kickoff thing at the man caves the other day, and one of the things I said, and I continue to say, and I'll continue to say, is you can build the most beautiful project, whether it's 12 stories, 4 stories, 6 stories, 17 stories. But if your guests or your condo owners on the 17th floor, or the 4th floor, or 5th floor can't flush their toilets, or they can't get water pressure to take a shower, we didn't do our job, or you overbuilt a property, right? Your infrastructure, we're on a barrier island. You can only take so much. Drainage aside, when the water comes over the seawall, drainage it's not going anywhere. But we get our water from Lee County. There's so many pounds of pressure that you can pump water down that tube. And the more that's being built back organically, single family homes. I always talk about the house on Chapel. Just look at the one on Chapel and look at the 2 that are still sitting next to it. It's 3 times the size. That's what's going to happen, because that's what they can build based on our code. We didn't go smaller. So now instead of 1 bathroom or 2 bathrooms, you've got 4 bathrooms and 4 showers. And when it's full, when we get back to what a normal season is, that's going to be a strain in our infrastructure. And nobody seems to want to talk about it. I haven't heard one developer come in and say, here's what we're going to do to alleviate that, or here's what we think will work with our project based on what the concerns are.
Do you think that would be
Lee County
something?
is working on replacing the water plant facility. They've been working with town staff. We're working on doing our north and south water tower. So you're doing the things that you can, but what the design we have now was designed before the storm.
Do you think that's
We need to
something that
seriously
they
look
could
hard
do?
at what it's going to be now.
When you finally, if this study ever gets done and you institute impact fees, isn't that going to be a big part of helping with the infrastructure?
It certainly will, and that will come, but you have to decide where it's going to be. To me, I've said it and I'll keep saying, we need to reevaluate the stormwater system that we're putting in now. Is it going to be enough to support what's coming?
Hey, Dave.
Even if nothing is approved,
Don't
on a big
leave.
development.
Don't leave. I want to have Dave on, Dave from Remove It Pros, after we're done.
Yeah.
To talk about, he's taking down the Strand View. I don't know if you guys saw the Strand View. It's
looks
another
good. You guys are
big
doing a good
building.
job.
Yeah, I came over there the other day to try and find you, but you took off. You saw me coming and you ran away.
That's what
And
I
it-
do
yeah.
too. It's
I had
okay.
to go to the church and sing the hymn, the hymnal.
Or not.
And you know
Or not.
I think it's on the corner. Is it Washington? Is that the one you guys just recently took
Oh
on? Was it
yeah,
Washington? It was on
totally
the corner?
cleared. Totally.
That's the one that when you drove by Asteria, you could see that the stove was still open. It was
Yeah.
not half in, half out. If you go by it now and look at it, it looks like, I mean, it's as flat as this table.
You can
It's-
walk on it with your bare feet
it's-
the way they do their work.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
That's
So
dumb.
Dan,
Bad idea.
Speaking of the
Bad
Strand
idea.
View, I was over there and I was like, "Oh my God, it smells like ass." I mean, what the? I thought the building smelled like ass, but it was your ass. It wasn't
No, it
his
wasn't.
ass.
That was all the stuff that washed up. from
Oh, the
Debbie.
red gook.
So it was on the beach and people were trying to walk through it, believe it or not, and they were trying to shuffle through it. So we had our contractor go and clean it all up, and they had to stage it at Newton Park. That's what you were smelling. So when it first got piled there, it was really bad. And then, after a while, the sun beat and the smell went away. And anybody that's ever been on a farm, been around silage, knows it doesn't stink until you move it again.
Mhm.
And then once you start moving it, then that steam comes out, and that's what you were smelling. Either that or you were stuck
Where
in the
do they
bathroom
take
too long.
that?
I don't
Yeah,
know
where
which
do they
one.
Where
take
do
that?
they take that stuff?
It's off island. They took it off.
They took it to
Huh?
Thornton's house. They put it in Thornton's backyard
Ranch.
over on St. Carlos.
It's not a pleasure. It's that
Oh.
red LG-ish stuff. I don't know.
It looks like you lost a lot of sand as well because you can't just. It's not like you could just pick up the red stuff, but
You
did.
can sift that stuff. Can all get
I
sifted
see.
out.
So the LPA met the other day, and one of the things that I don't know why it bugs me so much is that you got the LPA that's got to deal with these major developments, like that meeting on Friday, which still be going on right now if the outrigger was on the agenda.
Yeah.
And then you got the schoonovers who are sitting here, and they have the pool cage. You have to go in front of the LPA to get your pool cage approved over a pool that was already approved by, I don't know, probably the LPA and the governor and the president had to approve their pool. And so they got to come back for a pool cage. The staff recommends denying the pool cage, and the LPA approves it 7-0. Please explain to me how this process in place now makes any sense to you.
Well, I don't know specific. I haven't read through their part of that pack, and I haven't watched the meeting yet. But I don't know why staff recommended denial. But
Why did staff recommend denial? Is it an ugly pool cage?
my guess is there was
Does
something
it have
in the
naked
code
people
that's
on it? Jeez,
setbacks
I mean, it just
and
doesn't.
variances and that
I guess
kind of thing. Or what, I don't,
if there was no Hurricane Ian and there weren't these major developments, nobody would care about the LPA meetings. I don't think as much. But now it's like, can't you have an administrator just sign off on a pool cage?
not necessarily, because you got to remember that. I guess I'll try to address your question that you're asking. Why did staff recommend denial? I don't know specifically in this case why they recommended denial, but there must have been something in there that went against the code, and they recommended denial for whatever reason. It's not just a pool cage. They have neighbors, and I think they understand.
They were all in favor. Every single neighbor was in favor, right? Every single, like 700
go.
of them. Even the drug house where the arrest was made, the guy that was jailed, he even agreed. He even signed off on the. That's the neighborhood that 70
I mean,
police cars.
was it like egregiously big?
Yeah, no,
I don't know enough about. I haven't
Yeah.
read through it, so I don't know why.
And you should have saw Ed Schoonover in the audience. He's fearing the fact that he had to get up there. He's basically in tears.
Was it a variance you were asking for, or was it?
Yeah.
So it got approved unanimously from the LPA.
Which means it doesn't know. Now, the good thing about this process is once it's unanimously approved by the LPA, it doesn't have to go to council.
If nobody complains about it 10
Yeah.
days after,
I'm going
the
to file
approval-
a complaint just so it goes in front of the town council. This is so
Jeez,
stupid.
Why would you do that?
Just because the process makes no sense.
Yeah, exactly. Staff doesn't have it. Yeah,
Come
they're,
on. Fix
they're
the
black and
code.
white. They're black and white. Yeah.
The pool.
Well, that's what I said to him. So is the rule appropriate if it's got to trigger all of this?
Something needs to
Like,
be
if they
changed.
have to-
Something needs to be
Again, I
different.
don't know specifically why they recommended denial. I haven't looked at that to see what it was. That,
Rick says because it was a 17-story pool cage. Is it really that high?
Oh, well, then I say no.
well played.
Oh,
Well played.
holy cow. Is there going to be a pool on top of the pool
Well
cage
played.
too, or a bar on top of the pool?
Is there going to be
Oh,
like
man.
ropes to swing into the pool?
Well, it sounds like
Yeah.
it sounds like it sounds
Cannonball
like the
away.
outcome was
yeah,
good at least.
Yeah,
So.
they got the pool cage, but it was like,
But I understand your point is why should someone have to go through that process?
Yeah.
And to Greg's point, it's staff. Their job is to evaluate the policies that have been put in place, and if you don't like the policy, change it.
Yeah.
And that's what we did with the variance process.
Or if
So
you
now
don't
it
like
got
the comp
approved,
plan, change it.
or if you don't like the pool cage,
and you can change it.
screw
Again,
off.
You can,
That's to do with the structures.
structures.
Yeah. It just seemed like
the
I
pool
mean-
structure or the pool cage structure.
the
Oh, okay.
thing that-
Auxiliary
but it's just
So
structures.
they must have considered the pool cage an accessory structure.
So just to extrapolate from the pool cage, so staff recommended denial for the outrigger. Why did Mark pull it? He should have just went to the LPA. It doesn't matter what staff thinks. Is my point.
Well,
Why it doesn't matter what staff thinks? Because the
Well, it does
LPA
matter
can.
what staff thinks.
I agree with that. I'm being sarcastic,
yeah.
but they clearly it didn't in the pool cage incident. Why should it care? Why should they care about the outrigger? If Mark thinks he has enough votes at the town council, who gives a crap what the LPA thinks?
Well, it's a very good point, but I can't speak for Mark. But
Direct
Mark,
all your comments
to
to him.
me, by him pulling that, it to me tells me that he, could he have done exactly what you're saying? Sure, he could have, and maybe he would have got it through. Maybe he wouldn't have, but he's addressing the concerns. I think that's the right approach. I think if again you walk into a room and 100% of the people hate you, it's very hard to get to 51% of the people liking you. So you've got to be able to try to alleviate or answer questions or change or tweak things to be able to get staff to say, technically it doesn't meet the code, but it does fit the situation, which they've done before. Staff has said,
With conditions.
with conditions that, it can be done because it does meet the comp plan requirements. It does do all of this. It fits the neighborhood, blah, blah, blah. But these are the conditions that they have to put in. So I think it was smart for them to pull it.
Yeah,
go
for
back.
sure, because the neighborhood is rising up. The neighbors are rising up. The town
Sure.
people, the townspeople are rising up. But he might have 3 votes on this council right now to
I don't know.
approve that. And I don't know if that's a risk worth taking
I
without
don't know.
guaranteeing you have 3
There's
votes.
a lot of time and there's a lot of money to get to the point where they I mean, if it were me, I would have pulled it if I would have saw a staff report like that just to try to address some things. That's a lot of money
Yeah.
to get to that
Yeah.
point
Right.
to then go nowhere and start all over.
And right now, none of the major projects have even gone in front of the LPA. I'm talking about Moss, Neptune, Seagate. Seagate is supposed to come up in September, maybe October, but they're hoping September. But none of those 4 projects have made it to that critical point at the LPA, right? But I mean, I'm expecting that, or I'm not expecting anything, but it sounds like it could be this year that some of them
Well,
maybe come up.
I mean,
right?
I would think before the end of the year, you'd probably would be able to find out one way or another on the 2 big projects that we're talking about, Outrigger and Seagate's proposal. But we'll see where it goes. Even if they got, let's say they got approved.
Sure.
You're not going to see a shovel in the ground for at least a year.
Right.
Because now you got to design. Now is when the hard work
Right.
begins. Now is when you literally have to put all the work into showing where the air conditioner is going to be. What all the stuff that the staff now has to review comes into play to get your land development order. You got to be able to go through this entire process before you even get your permit to put a shovel in the ground. So you're looking at 4 years.
Yeah, 4 or
before
5
you're gonna
years
see
before something
anything,
opens.
Before
Yeah.
something probably gets
The
open.
nice thing is, and we had Tim and Debbie on yesterday when we
of
had
that
it,
scale.
when we had one guest cancel, but I promised I wasn't going to go there. We do see a lot of residential construction on every single street on Fort Myers Beach, and it really is cool to see people getting back in their house quickly. I mean, there was a little bit of a battle at the LPA yesterday over a cottage house and a condo building, but it's nice to see people getting back in their homes, which is really what your main priority was after the storm.
Yeah, get the people back that want to be back, or the new people that want to be here. I mean, we've got all kinds. We talk about all these things. There's so many other. The school. We're not really talking a lot about the school. The sooner we get families back on the island, the sooner we can keep fighting to keep the school. I mean, all of these things are going on. It's not just one project or 2 projects. There's so many other things. The street, the stormwater on the side streets, the town hall building, trying to get the pool back open. All these other things are going on. That
The red tagging,
the red tagging and bringing houses down.
Yeah.
And it's just
How about the
there's
ugly
a lot of
duckling
things.
house? It got a lot of publicity after I
Yeah.
ran a story. I like the NBC people because, you know, they come right up front and say, listen, we're running a story about the story that you ran about the ugly duckling house up there. So I'm happy to give them. I asked Gina Tomlinson if I could get some commission off the stories that they run that they give them leads for. It's like she's a good reporter though for NBC.
You're not going to
just
go
like
work
Gage
for them,
was.
are you?
No, I'm never going to work for Legacy Media again. I mean, dear, we created a monster here. I mean,
Oh,
there's no
yeah.
stopping us now, honey.
A lot of people
We're going to
say
the
you're a
moon.
monster.
We're on the move.
Is there? Hey, what is that all about? Are they applauding because it's 12 o'clock and it's time to leave?
I don't know. I think it was the monster comment. I don't
Dan, did we?
know. Do you still drink those, by the way? I remember you used to pound
do.
those things.
I
down.
He did. He
drink
have
3 a
to
day.
hit the
I actually-
switch.
I'm up to 2 monsters a day and a C4. Totally jacked.
What is it?
After 2 cups
What's
of
a
coffee in the
C4?
morning. It's an energy drink.
It's an energy
Energy
drink.
drink.
Thanks to Jason.
Yeah, Jason at the Margaritas. What, did we miss anything, or is there something that you want to report to the people?
No, well, you kind of open it with, you know, what happened on Palermo Circle. I think it's important for everybody to let the process play out. Let the investigation happen. Let's see what happened. But remember, you know, 2 people lost their lives, and you know, prayers and thoughts go out to their families. But let the process work out. We're in an area now. We're in a part of our lives where things have to be so fast. You know, people want information, and sometimes information gets out that is incorrect, and then it sends a big stir.
Yep.
That does that. So just, you know, people's lives are involved here. Like, just let the people do, the people that are investigating, let them do their job. Don't speculate. Let's let them tell us what happened. And
There is an investigation underway.
it's an unfortunate thing that happened, and I'm sure eventually the facts will come out. But to speculate is
Don't touch me.
is dangerous in my opinion.
Yes. All right, Dan.
Who's coming up?
Thank
Who's
you
up?
for so much for coming
Nobody.
on. Dan Allers, the mayor of Fort Myers Beach, everybody. Fort Myers Beach. Yes.
All right,
Thank
are
you.
you doing all your ads?
Jorge's coming on real quick because I would normally read an ad from him, but he's going to come up and tell us about him. And then we're going to have Dave on real quick to talk about the
I
Strand
got to go
View.
to the bathroom.
And oh my God, you got to go to the bathroom. You can't hold it in. I can't believe that. Ladies and gentlemen, Jorge Barrera. Look at you. You got a big fan base here. Jorge, what's going on in the market, selling and buying property on Fort Myers Beach? How are things going?
Well, right now for me, just last week, I was able to sell my client a property on Madison Court.
Madison,
Yeah,
love Madison Court.
Madison Court, yeah. We just closed this last week on a property. It's a 2-bedroom.
How much?
2-bed,
How much?
$585,000.
$585,000. Is that good?
So yes,
Yeah.
For a buyer right now, a $585,000 house on Madison Court, yeah, because you know lots are still priced anywhere between 500 to 700,000 on the side.
The price is
streets.
coming down at all?
We can see some
Yeah.
price reductions. I mean,
You think any property will come down to about 120 that I can get on the beach?
Not
Any
on-
chance of that happening?
not on Fort Myers Beach.
No, a little shed
see it.
maybe somewhere in the corner, a lot of no.
No.
So how can people reach out to you if they're interested in buying property or they want to sell their land or a lot? What is
So-
your contact info?
So my contact information is, you can also visit my website is jorgeswflrealtor.com, or you can always call me at 239-791-9893.
And
Any questions you might have, you guys know that there's many clients, many followers of yours who are clients of mine who can also just, vouch for me about the type of integrity and my knowledge
Yes,
on the beach too.
for
So,
sure. And you're here now. If anyone wants to, if you got a check for $1 million, burning a hole through your pocket, and you want to buy what's your favorite piece of property right now in Fort Myers Beach that you would like to sell? Like, is there one piece of property that has a house on it, or maybe not a house on it, that you think would really be a cool piece of property for somebody to scoop up?
I have a vacant lot on Estero Boulevard, actually just expired, but it's a nice piece of land and it's a beachfront, 8056 Estero Boulevard.
Give us some
It was
kind of
$3 million. It's 75 foot by 200 in a
wow.
very nice area of Fort Myers Beach.
Give
where
us kind of a
the beach is
direction of
kind of
what's close
secluded.
by. What is that like? I don't know the street number.
I mean, it's all the way down south.
All the way south,
It's
yeah.
all the way down south.
They're
I mean,
selling their boat. They might have some freed up cash for you to
There you
talk
go.
to them about.
We'll
there.
talk later.
They got a busted windshield wiper, so they're getting rid of that boat.
Yeah.
Is that one?
But right now it's summertime. It's a little bit slow, but people are gonna start coming back,
Yeah,
and,
yeah,
and
yeah.
we're gonna keep taking care of people.
All
So,
right, man. Jorge Barrera,
Thank you.
everybody. Thank you. We love Jorge.
There. Thank you very much. You guys are very alert.
This is what I have to deal with. This is why
Why he can't use a
Perfect.
screwdriver.
I don't know how that happens. I don't know how that happens because we have perfect equipment here. But KGT Builders is the current sponsor. And we want you to give Spencer a call at 239-887-0166. That's 239-887-0166. Dave Lockwood is from Remove It Pros, and Dave is like knocking down this island so everybody can rebuild it. I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean that in a positive way, because you can go to 100 Washington Street right now and eat off the floor of that empty lot. Dave, how are you, man?
I'm good. Sorry, I missed you the other day.
I know. I honked the horn on the way to the church so I could sing with the folks down at the church, and then when I came back, your people were there and they were super nice, but they were on their lunch break when I got there.
Yeah.
Well, everybody's got to have a lunch break.
I know. They were killing it. So
Let me just ask, how did you get here today?
On my bicycle.
Yeah. What kind of bike is that?
That's called a Wicked bicycle. Gary Lau had one. He was driving by my house. I thought, that's really cool. I'm going to get it.
Is it motorized?
It's electric.
It is. He
man.
came in a little hot this morning
pedal-
and kind of,
I pedal just to throw people off.
Yeah. So they're
hit
about
the edge of this thing. I was like, wait, what's going on over here? He's like, I'm okay. I'm okay.
I think the town is about to change the ordinance so you can ride your motorized bicycles and mow people down on the sidewalk soon. All right. I mean,
well, during season, we want to come down here and eat. But
Yeah.
you know what? I don't want to wait in a line
No.
for an hour or
I
half
know,
hour.
right?
I want to come down.
Yeah.
And I'm going to slow down when I'm on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Makes sense?
Yeah.
For sure. Common sense. You got some common sense. So Dave, you just started work on the Strand View. You knocked down the Dolphin, which the lot, I still can't believe that resort was on that tiny lot. When you look at the lot now, it's like, wow, you can fit a lot on a lot.
And you wouldn't believe how much stuff was underneath the sand. They had to go down to get to some good dirt or something, because there's this gigantic structure underground that we had to pull out.
Like
Really?
a concrete thing? Like,
Yeah, like a concrete.
Did they have a
tie-beam
basement?
thing. No, it was just, I don't know. Probably it was maybe the land that wasn't compacted good enough or something like that.
So
did you just ask if they had a basement?
I mean, it
Well,
sounded
it
like,
looked like a basement if you looked at the
thank you.
pictures.
There's
Thank you,
no
Dave.
basements
She's
in
going to bully me.
Florida.
She's going to bully me.
Maybe a
So,
basement pool.
so 100 Washington Street was, that was like a half a day for you knocking down a house.
Well, then those wooden structures come down pretty quick, and we got that 65-yard dump truck, and it just goes pretty quick.
Now you're on the Strand View. You spent what, 3 weeks pulling out? The
8.
thing that's most interesting about before the work starts is you got excellent hurricane windows that you took out and brought
Yeah.
down to your warehouse.
Yes.
Reuse it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so they're able to be bought for like $300 where you would pay $1,000, right? I mean, what do you got them priced at?
Well, like a 6x9 window, if you call somebody and have them come out and bid out putting the window in for you, it can be $1,500 or $3,000 depending on who you call. But they take the window out, put the window back in, so on and so forth. But that same window at my shop might be 3 years old, might be 5 years old. It has the little etching in the corner so you can use them, and it'll be, $399, $499.
Crazy.
It's not cheap to pull all this stuff out. I ran a crew for 8 weeks on the Strand View before we started to demo the Strand View.
Dave, you don't have to answer this, but it's such an interesting question. What does it cost to knock that building down?
See,
What are you
I
charging?
can't tell my competitors that.
Oh, I
Yeah.
see. Fair enough. Fair
Between
enough.
3 and 400 grand.
300,000 and 400,000 to take down a building, and the people that were in that building didn't want any of their stuff. They didn't want their beds. They didn't want their cabinets. You went in and took all that stuff
Well,
out.
what are the people going to do with cabinets?
I don't know, but
Here's the process normally. What they do is they say, hey, we're going to be tearing this down soon. We're going to be tearing this down soon. We're going to tear it down. Okay, now you guys got 3 more weeks. You got to get
your
everything
stuff
out. And the thing is, let's face it, if you, first of all, find storage close to the
Yep.
beach,
Yeah.
what's it cost?
Gotcha.
And then your stuff's at yard sale value. So
Right.
by the time you put it in there and pay for it for 2 years, when you're ready to use it again, what's it really worth?
Yeah.
And then you got to worry about mold and all the other things. That's what people do. So what happens is they gave us the keys. I said, okay, that's it. Everybody's done, right? Because that's what we say. We need keys when you're, and I don't need keys, honestly, if you think
Right.
about it. But they gave us the keys to get in.
Sorry, Angela says we took out what we wanted. Sorry, Angela, I didn't mean you didn't take anything, but I guess people went in and took out what they wanted, and then
What they
whatever's
could
left.
use.
Well,
Right.
what they can use, and it
Sorry.
makes sense. That's all they got. And plus, you're going up and down 7 flights of stairs with no elevator.
I can understand not wanting the hurricane windows. I mean, what are you going to do with those? How do you make them fit
Yeah.
and
It's a
things
lot
like
of
that?
work. I had to use jackhammers to get them out.
Wow. So you got this machine that's not like the bucket loader that you used to knock down the house. You got this unique machine that you're paying
God.
$80,000 for 4 weeks or 6 weeks.
50 grand for
50
a month.
grand for a month.
Yeah, it's got a pincher on it. It'll actually takes the structural members and it just snaps them in half like they're nothing. Now, the reason that we did that is to try to keep the dust down.
Yeah.
You got this building that's 60 feet tall. You got the breeze coming in off of the beach, and no matter what you do, you're
It's
gonna
blown
have
in.
have some dust.
And there was an issue yesterday that there maybe wasn't enough water, so you got an extra spout of water, and
We're running 3 hoses on it right now.
yeah.
I don't know what else to do. We're
Yeah.
doing our best to keep.
Why
the
not
dust down.
just put dynamite under that building and blow it to bits?
But then I'd be fixing everybody's house for the next 10 years because I blew their windows out.
I know. I'm just kidding about that,
It
but
would be fun.
Thank
though.
I know.
God you're not doing this.
so, but part of that reason you don't do it is you have to separate the concrete from the rebar from the metal, and they all have to go to different places.
Okay, part of the 8 weeks of us working on this, we went in all the floors except for the very first floor, which was impacted by the hurricane and would have been unsafe to work on. We went all the way up the whole building and we stripped it all the way back down to the concrete.
Wow.
So it's a lot. It's a lot of work. But what it does is it makes us faster. Now you've seen how much. Did you see the picture I sent you earlier? We got
Today,
a lot.
no.
We got a lot done in a little bit of time because we're not separating as we go.
I see.
Right.
How long will it take you to knock that sucker down and get
We
rid of
thought a
everything?
month. After what I seen in the last 2 days, I don't know. It might be a week and a half.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Wow.
And the
But
other
getting it off the site's going to be a whole nother
Yeah.
thing.
and the other interest, and you got to smell that nasty red crap right next to the next. I know the town's trying to get rid of it, but I was
Well,
like, "Hey, what are you guys doing over
Well,
here? It
but
smells like crap."
I'm sure there's all sorts of smells when you're taking a building down.
For sure. Your guys
Well-
weren't wearing masks. I feel bad for them. Get some
Yeah.
masks on them, man.
That's
That's up to them, right?
yeah. Well, we tell them to.
Yeah.
So,
So the other thing
Yeah.
that's interesting aspect of this building is that could be a piece of property that the town buys to expand Newton Park,
wouldn't it be
which would be cool. I mean,
Mhm.
getting a
We need
a
more
bigger-
parking down at that end of the island.
Yeah.
You know, there's
Yeah.
just no place to park for public.
So Dave, I know you got a YouTube video. You're the social media star now. You got a whole team out there. You're not jumping in the water, you're hugging fish like they are at Snug Harbor, but you're still doing some cool stuff over
I
there.
think that the restaurants on the beach should all start a little
That was cool.
competition with that.
I know
doing
who has
their
got a best
own
ad.
TikTok.
What
yeah.
happened? I
You
don't
got to
even know
see
what
this.
happened.
Oh,
Go on
we'll
the
show
Snug
you.
Harbor
It's so
Facebook
funny.
page. They got a great ad that they did. I mean, it was one of the best ads that we've seen. It's just a funny ad
Funny
about fish.
TikTok video.
So how can where's your give people your social media stuff?
It's Remove It Pros Demolition on YouTube, and we're expanding from here up into Sarasota and eventually probably the whole state of Florida if it makes sense. And then we're doing this repurposing thing along with junk removal and demolition, which is a little bit different.
Yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, Dave Lockwood from Remove It Pros.
All
Thank you,
right.
Dave,
Thank
for coming.
you.
Thank you, and always for coming down here and spending money here. We appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Both of them?
Try to pedal home, no motors.
No motor.
Dave Lockwood, everybody.
All right. And now because you have to go to the bathroom, now you give me a script. Right. So Tony Bone Painting. It's really Anthony Bone. That's what it says on his truck. But we shorten it because he's a friend of ours. He's been in business since 1994. He's painted our house a couple of times. He's done stuff inside our house. So he's family of painters, his uncle, his brothers. They do interior and exterior painting. They do cabinets and furniture finishing. He redid our cabinets, which we probably need to have redone again, but it's because we've gotten a lot of use out of those cabinets. He worked 12 years at the Edison Ford Winter Estates doing painting and restoration work, including the interior of the museum. He does pressure washing, trim carpentry, floor coatings, lots of drywall stuff. He's like a jack of all trades and master of them too. So give him a call. Tony Bone, Anthony Bone Painting and Finishings, 239-410-7083. Or you can send a message to bonepainting239@gmail. I didn't bring my glasses because I didn't think I was going to have to do this. I like it how when he goes to the bathroom before, he leaves me with nothing. But then he go, oh, thank you. Put these readers on. Oh, this is very good. Thank you. I don't need to hold it out anymore. So this Michael D. Stewart, local company owner, owned and born and raised a native of Lee County. I just need to go off this. We all know the players in the area, from the building department, so the inspectors to the contractors and subcontractors. Experienced and practicing in the area since 2006. Reviewed dozens of times, five-star reviews. Give them a call. Michael Stewart. It's www.mstewartpe.com. You got to give me more wind up to this. Yeah. 239-292-7670. Didn't we have somebody from the Stewart Company come on?
We did.
Yeah.
So lastly, before we let you all roll out of here, we want to make sure you know on Friday the 13th.
You got to fix these.
We're going to have a show at Margaritaville, a special show from the stage outside the pool of Margaritaville for the Women's Club. We're going to raise money for the Women's Club. So if you're interested in going, we're going to have a flyer to get you in for free. So I'm out of breath from running from the bathroom. So, wow, it's only at the end of the building, and I'm so gassed right now from running. God, I'm so out of shape. The diet starts on Monday, everybody. Just remember that. The last famous words, the diet starts on Monday. No, so Friday the 13th, stay tuned for more details about that. And Town Councilman Scott Stafford will be our guest on Saturday next week at La Di Da. So come on down if you have questions for Town Councilman Scott Stafford. That's going to be next Saturday. And then September 14th is the Revive the Vibe. And we're going to be broadcasting live from right here on Old San Carlos. Thank you all for tuning in. Nice big audience today. Thanks to the mayor. Thanks to Dave Lockwood. Thanks to all our sponsors. Thanks to Jorge. Thanks to Wahoo Willies. And folks, do us a favor and go out and have yourself a baby right now. Have a nice weekend. Bye-bye.